to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't have much of a voice tonight, and some people might think that's good, but, so, is there any board and committee reports? Seeing none. Citizens' concerns, anyone out there?
I don't know about concerns, but one thing I would like to mention is that we had a Newbury citizen run the Boston Marathon, bike fielder.
Wow.
Yep, that was Brian Short, and he completed it in 4 hours and 1 minute. And I'd like to
That's pretty good.
congratulate him for
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah.
quite a feat.
It really is.
Finishing it's quite a feat, let alone in
Really
that
is.
short a period of time, so.
Yeah, certainly is. We have public hearings tonight. Is our representatives from National Grid here yet? All right, good. All right, so we have 7:15. So why don't we proceed with, Tracy, your report's much too long to intercede, right?
Yep.
So we'll start into new business. We have a request for Timothy J. Perry, Byfield, Newbury, Little League, to use the Upper Green baseball field from Wednesday, April 29th to Tuesday, June 30th, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Is he here? Oh, can you come up and, I think, I'll let you get to the microphone.
You should just state your name and address, please.
Yep.
Janice Irving, 7 Middle, sorry, Janice Irving, 7 Middle Road in Newbury.
Thank you. My only concern before we get started, should we make a motion, and then we'll discuss it?
Sure, motion to approve.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Yes. My only thought when I looked at this, has it been done, is this something that happens all the time? That's what I figured, okay, because I'm thinking, wow, they tie it up for a long time and everyone plays, so, but good. This happens every year, this is what we've always done. Ellen, this is ongoing, so that answers my question.
Yep,
So-
that was my only question would be conflicts,
Yep.
so, perfect.
So, all those in favor?
Aye, thank you very much.
Thank you. One-day liquor license. Is going to be a wedding for the Perkins Hopkins wedding, and it's going to be reception at Pitta Hall. Steve, are you here for that? Who's here for that?
We are.
Okay, great. Is everything in order, Ellen?
Everything's in order.
I mean, I don't know if we really have to put you guys through it, pleased that everything's going good, so everything's in order?
Everything's in order.
I'd like a motion.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Any discussion?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That was great. Okay, one-day liquor license, same thing, it's a wedding. It's a reception at Spencer Pierce Little Farm, 1 Little's Lane, Saturday, May 16th, 2 o'clock to 10 p.m. Everything in order, Ellen?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Any discussion?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. One-day liquor license. It is the Friary Anderson Wedding and Reception at Plum Island Airport, 24 Plum Island Turnpike, Saturday, May 30th, 3 o'clock to 10:30 p. Everything in order?
Everything's in order.
And they've got permission from Plum Island Airport, I imagine. Good,
Really?
so we're all
Okay.
set. Can I have a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Huh, never done one of those before.
They've had different things at the airport.
Really?
Yeah. One-day liquor license, Newbury Protection Company Number 2, annual meeting of Ducks Unlimited, I know that well. Friday, June 19th, from 6 to 10 p.m. Everything in order, Ellen?
Yes, it is.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Any discussion?
None.
All those in favor? Aye. One-day liquor license, Protection Fire Company Number 2, family birthday party for Ryan Trafada. Did I pronounce that right? Doesn't matter, I guess. Friday, June 26th. June 26th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Motion.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Any discussion?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
One-day liquor license, Byfield Community Arts Center, Cat in the Cradle Coffee House, Saturday, May 16th, 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. Everything in order?
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor? And I saw Heidi and Steve out there. One-day liquor license, Byfield Arts Center, local lounge, Saturday, May 23rd, 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. Everything in order?
Motion to approve.
Seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. This one is different, but you've done it before, right? Request of Byfield Community Arts Center to close Central Street from Main Street to Lunt Street during the Byfield Cruise Night Classic Car Show at the BCAC on Friday, June 19th, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Heidi or Steve, can you tell us a little about that? And you've done this before, right?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, I can remember that.
Steve Fram, 21 Forest Street. Yeah, this is year 7,
Good,
and nothing's changing.
good. Everything?
Hopefully more cars.
Are you going?
Yes.
And everything is in favor?
Yes,
Uh,
the W knows and the police and.
Great.
fire department.
Great. And for those that don't really know, when we look at Alan and ask if everything is fair, there's a litany of things that Alan does, from insurances to all the signatures that are needed. There's quite a few pages now, right? So, motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you.
Steve. So, this is something, this is a letter of gratitude to Kathleen Pearson, who was a former member and chair of the planning board. And this is something that I felt we should do or start to do for some of the people that have been on boards for a very long time, because for those that have never served on a board, it takes a lot of time. And you know, you could be doing other things that, but for those that choose to step forward and take the time to serve for our town, it deserves to be, at least be recognized as. How long was she on?
About 10 years.
Because I can remember I was on then, right? Was she an alternate first?
No.
Because she started coming to our meetings, I can remember, before she was on. Or she get elected, and she was at the meetings. Were you on when she was on? Because you were on before, no?
I was on
I always forget this.
I'd also like to mention that there are an awful lot of subcommittees that she
Oh,
worked off
yeah.
of that.
Well, this
and
is-
worked diligently on.
This is going to
so-
say some of that, but she
Yeah.
was on for a lot of years, right?
Yeah.
So let me read it, and it'll probably definitely take us to the public hearings. Dear Kathleen, on behalf of the town of Newbury, the Board of Selectmen would like to thank you for your great dedication and commitment to the town over the past decade, during which time you served with distinction as a member and chair of the Planning Board. Your ability to galvanize support for numerous amendments in Newbury zoning bylaws, particularly the creation of the table of use regulation, associated change in allowed uses to promote economic development in Newbury's commercial and business light industrial districts, demonstrates significant ability and leadership. Equally significant was the work you did to analyze and develop potential, and well, it does say water, so, along Route 1, and the conclusion that no major development is feasible without investing in water sources for the area. You also made a tremendous contribution to the town as a member of the town-owned Surplus Property Dissolution Committee. You're on that, weren't you, Chuck?
Yes, I was.
Uh,
Chair.
Yeah, your efforts in identifying vacant town-owned parcels and analyzing their potential for sale result in significant revenues for the town. You were able to accomplish all of this while adeptly juggling your academic requirements and the needs of your family. Wish you all the best in your professional career. We only can hope that you will be able to return to public service in the future. Very truly yours, Jeffrey Walker, Chairman, Newbury Board of Selectmen. So,
Wow.
yeah, she serves a long time. So, I mean, I think with the permission of the board, for folks that have done multiple terms especially, or multiple years on some of our boards and committees, it doesn't take anything to thank them, because it's a kind of a lot of effort. Well, we'll do something else if we can.
And if I could just have 1 minute
Go.
to speak about the library?
Sure. Hold on for JR.
I recently attended a
Oh, sorry.
Newbury Library long-range planning meeting. I learned a lot about our library, how little it runs on, the volunteers, the employees, and the resources. We're looking at the future of the library and how it can evolve and stay current and keep people interested. And you know, I just wanted to mention a few of the resources that our library offers now that I hope people will take advantage of. There's a homeschooling room with resources for parents homeschooling their children. Is one thing I found very interesting that I didn't know. It offers off-street parking, which is something you don't find everywhere, especially if you're used to attending the Newburyport Library. They have wonderful meeting rooms. I recently attended a Parker River Clean Water Association meeting. It was a packed house, and it was a great time, and it went on for quite a while. We were all quite comfortable in there. I was impressed. The staff is very helpful. The volunteers are very helpful. If you're not adept with computers or locating materials in the library, there are a lot of people that are just very quick to help you. In the building itself, it's a big building, and it was a costly building, but we're nearing the end. It's getting pretty close to being paid off, and the place is just neat as a pin. I was there just this weekend again for my son's Little League opening day. Just a great place. The grounds are well maintained by the Historical Society. The natural lighting inside is fabulous. During the day, there's very few lights in use. They also offer 3 iPads and a MacBook that you can check out and use. And also, one of our citizens, Mike Olson, is giving classes on their use. So not only can you attend a class and learn how to use these devices if you're not familiar with them, you can actually get schooled on using them. And I just wanted to remind everybody, I'd lost touch with the library a bit, but now that my son's younger, it's kind of drawn me back in. And, you know, look at the Newbury Library, check it out again if it's been a long time since you've been in, and just remember, it's yours, and use it. And anyone interested in the library can start by going to newburylibrary.org. That's all.
Great.
Very good.
And that and some of the discussion of what they have for the movies and everything else there that we discussed last meeting.
Hundreds.
Yeah, they do a lot. They do a lot. So, and
And music.
The,
They have a nice music library,
yep,
too.
they're doing a lot. 1 clock says you're on, so why don't we take the clock that says you're on, National Grid? Kind of neat that way.
Sam Eng, National Grid, North Andover.
How are you? When you kind of tell us the locations and things, is this a house?
There's 2 petitions tonight. Which one are you talking about?
The first one we have on our,
I think you have to read that.
okay. See if you can find it too, guys, 'cause I won't get right to it. Okay, legal news. Is there 2 legal notices for each public hearing?
There are 3 legal notices.
That's right, okay. All right, public hearing will be held on Tuesday, April 28th. That's what you were waiting for, right, Sam?
Yes.
See, you're sharp. At 7:15 PM at Newbury Town Hall, 25 High Road, Newbury, Mass., on the petition of National Grid and Verizon New England, Inc., Plan 1840-3141. Proposes to locate poles, wires, fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the public way, -45 16th. What's the T for? I wanted the street. 16th. Oh, 16th. Okay. National Grid to install a pole, 8-1, 70 feet, north of pole 8 on 16th Street. Board of Selectmen. Okay. Yep.
So this is for new residential
That's
service.
what I thought, yep. Any questions from my board? Does that we need to ask?
I don't see any on this one.
So, looking at the map, is it gonna cross the road?
It will be on the right side of the road, yes.
And it's gonna cross the road to the residence, or is it on the same, right?
Install conduit across the street.
Now, is it under the road or going over the street?
It'll be, from
Cut-
pole 8 to pole 8-1 will be overhead,
Yep,
and then from pole 8-1 to the residential service will be underground.
okay, and is that on, as you go further on these public hearings, is that the part that's on private property?
Part of it will be, 6 feet of it will be on private property, 14 feet in the public way.
Okay.
Just says here underground laterals. I'm a
Yeah.
little concerned about that.
Well, I think they're on private property, ask Sam.
Okay.
And private property is fine if they, go ahead. Make a motion and we'll have discussion.
All right, motion to approve.
Seconded.
Any discussion?
Do I have a chance to object to this?
Absolutely. Let Chuck ask Sam that question, and absolutely, you can go to the microphone and raise your hand and recognize you, absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
I'm interested in listening.
go ahead. Do you have something to ask Sam first?
My only question would be, it says also for permission to lay and maintain underground laterals. Can you explain that one to me?
Underground lateral? That would be the conduit going in, into the street to the private property.
From the pole to the private property?
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
And that'd be only 14 feet.
Right, so no digging the street up.
Oh, yeah, actually, we probably will be, yes.
All right.
You know what's gonna be easier when National Grid comes in, and I might not have saw it, the packet, for people out there, we try to review the packet's about this thick. So we try to get an idea of what's going on, but it's not always as easy as it looks. When they cut the street, did I miss something in our packet where James, is aware of it and okays how they do it?
I think that comes after.
That's next. Yeah.
I ask this every time, don't I? Huh? So afterwards, he goes down and inspects it. If he finds any problems, he goes back to National Grid? All right. I'll try not to ask that next time. I asked it last
You
time.
have to apply for a permit
Okay.
with highway.
So that kind of answers your question and my
Yeah.
question, and maybe next time we won't ask Sam.
All right. We'll still ask it.
You can ask.
Yeah.
Okay. Sir, would you,
Information-
come on up to the microphone. So that's so people can hear that are watching on television. That's all right. Everything's cool. Don't worry about it.
Who am I dealing with here? I'm an engineer with National Grid. My understanding is that this,
Excuse me, could you state your name and address?
my name is Paul Jawara, and I live at 24 16th Street. It's my
Okay.
understanding that this pole is going directly adjacent to my property, 10 foot off my house. Okay? And I object to that.
I don't blame you.
Am I correct in assuming that this is where the pole is going, right along that fence?
Lot 123.
Yes,
Yes, it will be adjacent to his fence.
okay.
Sam, is it 10 feet away from his house?
It doesn't say here, but it is pretty close to his fence.
Close to 9.
Wait, I know, Pat. Sit down so we can get you up there too, okay? I don't know if I like that either, and I don't know what is protocol, so fill us in. When this occurs because of the density of homes on Plum Island, is it protocol that a pole goes 10 feet to a house?
Well, I believe the reason why this pole is going there is because the fence is an access to a boat ramp, and they didn't want to put it on the left side of the street because it'd probably create problems for the boats coming in and out, because it'd be less room to turn in and out of there.
Who requested this?
I believe the designer, the engineer John Butler, and the property, perhaps the electrician for this particular job.
How many people are here for the public hearing on National Grid?
For the second one. There's a second one, right?
So,
Okay.
the plot thickens. All right. what, and JR, figure out the next step too, in your mind, so we decide how we're gonna, what would be another way to do this, so it wasn't as close to a resident's home that wasn't the resident that the power was going to go to?
When I spoke to John today about it, just to sort of get an idea of this job, it seems like that's the only location that's possible, because if you put it on the left side, we'll have an aerial trespass on lot 67. And we weren't given the easement rights for that.
What is there now?
I'm not sure.
So what is there now? There are poles going down, obviously.
There are poles coming down 16th T Street.
Yeah.
Number 6 is up the street, and you come down to number 8, okay? Initially, the house that was there before, Bernie's, for lack of another, the service went from pole number 8 across George's property over to Bernie's. He had a pole there.
Mm-hmm.
The Lynches started building this house. They tore that pole down, which, in my opinion, was a mistake.
Talk right into that microphone too.
Yeah?
Yep,
So this is working.
It's on TV.
it's on TV.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so.
They just heard the bump bump.
So they tore that pole down, okay? So now they have to get electricity to their house, all right? They're coming down that right away. If you look at pole 6 and pole 8, okay, and keep coming straight down, okay, you end up, and I have a drawing here, on what he calls the left side, the Lynch's side of that right of way, okay? You don't have to cross over to my property to not go over his. Okay, there are alternatives. That's one of them.
Okay, so you'd like to replace the pole that was taken down?
On, may I? I'm not good at,
That's okay.
can I read this?
Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And one thing, let me say this to you, as you proceed, and that comes from being on the planning board. I'm having trouble visualizing
Yes.
this, because I'm not there.
Okay.
If we can't come to an agreement tonight,
That's why I threw this up.
if we can't come to an agreement tonight
Yep.
that you all feel comfortable with and National Grid can do is the amount of people here tonight,
Yep.
we'll table it and we'll get on ourselves and look at it.
Okay, that sounds
Yep.
fair enough to me.
I was going to
All right.
suggest that. Thank you
All right.
for saying that.
So, I do not want their service pole on the edge of my property, number one, okay? It's their electric service, it's their pole, it should be on their property. It's only 10 foot from my property. It would unnecessarily degrade and reduce the ability for me to enjoy my views out my windows on that side of the house, and I believe it could also reduce my property value, okay? I don't believe the pole should be placed within the street right-of-way either, okay? The Town of Newbury bylaws, as far as I could determine in a quick check this afternoon, and I was away all last week, so I only had today, once I got my mail, to look at this and review it, okay? But anyway, the Town of Newbury bylaws, as far as I could determine in a quick check this afternoon, do not directly address this particular situation, but under the article entitled subdivisions, it does state the utility poles are not to be placed within the street's boundaries. And I think the same rule should apply to this area. It's a street, it's a right-of-way, okay? One way or the other, as far as on my side, they're putting it in that right-of-way, okay? Having said the above, I would like to propose 3 options. The pole, option 1, the pole should be placed on Mr. Lynch's property outside the street right-of-way limits. This can easily be accomplished by placing the pole in a direct line with the existing poles, number 6 and 8, on 16th T Street. If you line it up, it just comes right down. It doesn't cross over anybody's property, and it ends up on Mr. Lynch's property adjacent to the right-of-way, not on adjacent to mine. Option number 2. A pole could be erected in line with the other poles, 6 and 8, in line with George's granite property marker just in front of it. It wouldn't be on his property, it wouldn't be crossing it, it wouldn't be in the blacktop road, it would be in the gravel that's there, and it wouldn't be an issue. Mr. Lynch could then run the final leg either underground or overhead to his house, like everybody else. Option 3, Mr. Lynch might be able to avoid needing a pole at all if he could obtain a property easement from George, the corner property that he hasn't given an easement for him. Simply run the service line across George's property like it was before and connect it to his house. It's my understanding that Mr. Lynch did ask George for the easement required for National Grid, but that the positive reply has not been forthcoming as of this date. I would like to suggest, okay, that if somebody came to me looking for an easement to either dig up my property or go overhead on my property for an installation that benefits them and them alone, I wouldn't agree either, okay? If I'm going to give up some of my property rights and potentially face the possibility of problems down the road for whatever reason, I would expect to be compensated for that risk. So I don't believe the request on Mr. Lynch's part was very serious. I have one other concern. I'm not a lawyer, but based on my understanding of Massachusetts wetland regulations found at 310 CMR Section 10, all building and construction, which includes installation of utility poles and all the cabling and support necessarily associated with the installation of the poles, should be done and located in ways that avoid and/or minimize adverse impacts to resource areas, and that utilities should be located as far as practicable from the resource area to have the fewest adverse effects on that resource area. And I'm talking about the basins, the wetland. Now, I've addressed 3 suitable alternative locations, in my opinion, which would all be further away from the water's edge than what's being proposed for the location on the edge of my property, all of which are better from an environmental perspective, and 2 of which would also be better from a public access standpoint. So, are we certain that all of the alternative locations have been considered and not dismissed merely because it costs a little more money, and/or, from the Lynch's viewpoint, a pole or overhead wires on their property and house aren't aesthetically pleasing to them? Thank you.
Well, may I? No, sure, go ahead. I have always said that if someone comes in and opposes something, please bring me in an alternative. You brought 3.
3.
I would like to thank you very much for that.
welcome.
What a breath of fresh air.
Pat, are you here on the same?
I think Mr. Paul said everything. And,
Good.
I mean, everything, like he said, if it went in line with the existing poles, you'd be fine. I mean, to cross over like they want to do, it's ridiculous. They keep it on the Lynch's property.
Sorry, I'm daydreaming. Thanks. Sorry, Pat.
Like he said, if they keep it in line with the existing poles, you'll be fine. But they want to step it across the
Pat,
16th
do me a
Street.
favor, can you state your name too?
Oh, Pat Mahoney, Patrick
Great,
F.
thanks.
Mahoney, 1920th Street.
Yep.
And, you know, it should just go in line with the other poles. Then you won't be coming across 16th Street, you know what I mean?
So basically, put it back where it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
somewhere in that vicinity, you know?
Okay.
It would be on, because like he says, it won't be on town property, it'll be on the Lynch's property.
Right.
And it covers everybody, and it'll probably be easy for them too. I mean, you go down and look at it, you'll see it yourselves. He come over and grabbed me this morning, we went down and looked at it, and that's what I see.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
I'm Robert Lynch, 45 16th T Street, the applicant. And I appreciate and thank Paul for coming. Paul and I did have a discussion about the location of the pole, and we did go over a number of the scenarios that he brought up. So I'm familiar with what he's talking about. At that time, I thought we were in agreement of where this pole, where the electric company was recommending for this pole to go based on a number of things that we talked about in the conversation, one of which was the access to the boat ramp. And I did, for your benefit, I brought a couple of pictures for you. This is standing, looking, are you familiar with 16th T Street?
Somewhat.
Okay, this is the property. This is where this is, on this side right here.
Mm-hmm.
This yellow line.
Come on up, stand up so Jay, I can see.
Parking lot.
That's okay, I'm fine.
So we're looking east?
You're looking north.
Okay, north.
So this is the top of the basin.
Yep.
This is Paul's fence. They're proposing to put the pole right behind this pole that's right here. This signpost.
Yep.
They're proposing to put the pole right behind it, right here. So that's what you're looking at right there. Now, the reason that we discussed and picked that side is Paul's concern, and this has been a 6-month project, by the way.
Mhm.
We had to put a telephone pole to get power to this house.
Sure.
What I was told by the electric company is they don't want to put poles on private property. Is that consistent with what you know?
Sam, come on up, come on up to the,
Because,
Yeah.
yeah, they need, it complicates the properties, they need easements, they want to stay in public ways. And that,
Where was the pole?
the pole was actually on the property.
Where?
But well, let's see.
A little over this way?
Yeah, yeah, it
Okay.
was over in front here. But what that created was a trespass on George's property, because the power lines went from the existing pole and went across George's property. So they
What's-
didn't want to do that
What's
because
keeping it from going in a straight line to a
There's
pole
nothing
here
keeping-
and
there's
then
nothing keeping-
underground?
there's nothing keeping that, except that what the electric company told me is to do that, they would have to put it in the public way. So if they put it in the public way, this is only a 10-foot way for the boat ramps. And it also would interfere with the other neighbor. I mean, one of the things we were doing is we were trying to, and people can, say that we're full of crap with this, but we were trying to minimize the amount of stuff that was in the view of the other neighbors. If it goes in the middle of this, everybody up the street, George, the people on the other side of the street, are gonna see a telephone pole right in the middle of what is actually a beautiful view. So we were trying to get it off to the side where there's already other things there and try to minimize the complication of the view. And we were paying to go underground from that pole, so there's no wires there. I don't need to go underground. And it's costing me $3,000 to go underground when the electric company will run it overhead for free. So, I mean, we thought we were
but
doing
you're
something.
going underground because you've come across the street, so
Yeah.
you have to go underground.
Well, we could go overhead
Okay,
and go to the house for nothing.
yeah.
We can spend $3,000 and go underground and keep the view open for the neighbors up the street and down the street and everything, and for George. If they don't care about that, I don't care. The problem is they're gonna put a pole 10 feet away from the city's easement, which is 2 feet or about a foot on the other side of this fence. So this fence is about a foot into the public way, and that means that this is gonna be about an 8-foot wide easement or a 7-foot wide easement or right of way, because they're gonna put the pole on the town property, not on the private property.
I'll tell you what, I don't want to complicate things, but this is the first time I've heard anyone be as positive about where and exactly where people own on Plum Island with the streets such as these
Yeah.
streets, meaning,
Well, we have a recent survey because we're.
Oh, you do?
building construction.
All right.
Yeah.
May I look at?
sure, come on up.
Oh, and,
And
we're.
we did not have an agreement, I told you
No,
right
no.
from the start.
Now, take it easy, guys.
I understand that.
Where's the,
This is the survey. That's the sign.
where, all right, so where's the sign? Right there, okay. So this is pole 8 right there?
Yeah.
And pole 6 is right up here, okay? And-
We could run to that. That's,
Yes,
I don't
you
have an
could.
issue with that.
That was option 2.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
No problem.
I really don't have an it's not the best, because I think, and maybe
Maybe
some
not
other
the best
people.
for you, but
Well, no, it doesn't bother me at all, frankly. I don't care about about it being there.
Okay.
It's just another pole that you sort of in the view of.
All right, I mean, where are you?
That pole would be right about here.
All right,
This is 16th T. This is his house over here. This is my house here.
Yep.
Okay? And he's proposing to put the pole here
Yep.
and then run underground here.
Yep.
Okay? I'm saying the lines come down from 6 through 8, okay? I've offered an alternative to put it somewhere in here on his side of the street, or number 2, to put it right here. This is a monument that marks George's property,
Mhm.
in line with 6 and 8, and then run across.
which makes
Whatever
some
he
sense.
wants to do.
When this comes down the side and then it goes, it's gonna have to go over to the other side of the road, right?
Yeah, from here, he's saying he's gonna run a pole across the road
Right,
over
so,
here.
so the wires go across the street
Absolutely.
and then go back
Go
underground.
underground over here.
And dig the road up.
Yeah, it's hard for me.
There's no digging of the, it's already, it's just sand.
This is blacktop here.
Okay.
This is gravel,
Okay, thank you.
okay? This
Right.
is gravel.
There is, I don't know if there is issues because there's water and sewer lines we would have to cross on this here. We'd have to go crisscross.
That's
Wa-
what dig safe is for.
Yeah, but you know, there's all kinds of issues down there with water and sewer lines.
All right.
They had to dig up the street because it was frozen this year.
You're gonna have to go to the microphone if you're gonna, so do me a favor, kinda spread out a little bit down this end anyway, so. That makes a little bit more sense to me.
Yep.
We're just trying to get power to the house.
Well, we want you to, we want residents, you know,
Anybody, on the
but,
neighbors, everybody. That's-
but, you
that's all.
know, this process will make it better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I'm George Caloris. I'm actually the one they're talking about. I don't know if it's a money issue, but can you bury it from where the pole is now the whole way alongside of the road
The,
on my side?
well,
So forget about him.
on your side,
So go like this. All right. So where's the pole?
this is the pole on next to
Okay,
the
so why don't
property.
we just keep it under the ground, kitty along here, come across, is that too much?
What is there for sewer line in there?
It comes like this, comes down. I come across here, everybody comes across here.
So you're gonna be, I think there's issues with putting underground next
that's
to
why
an
I
existing
went to
pipe
the
of
pole.
any sort.
So that's why he went to the pole over here and then under,
Right.
because there's no
So
sewer.
we eliminated all of the issues.
Okay,
with
good thought.
crossing.
So you can't go across it anyway. So it doesn't matter.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
So
I
even
don't
if you
know
put the pole
Can you
there,
cross
you're
over
still-
sewer lines and water lines diagonally?
So far, that looks like the option,
Perpendicular?
putting the pole right
I
there.
don't think so.
No.
No.
There was,
All right.
George and I had talked about that, and there was more and more issues as we talked about it with
Okay.
other utilities and interfering with that. That's why we said, let's get down here,
Now, you're not adverse to putting the pole right there.
putting it back here in the corner. It's my,
Where would you like it?
it's one of the, second to the last
Right here.
place I would like to put it. The last place I'd like to put it is here, because that's gonna severely limit access to the boat ramp if we put it down here.
Yeah, I agree. This back here is the better choice, or come across aerial all the way over to the house.
But then that requires an easement.
That's what I'm saying. You know, you could get it, all you have to do is compensate them for it. I mean, you're willing to pay $3,000 to come under here.
George, do we still run into issues with water and sewer here if that pole goes in here? That's the monument, right?
Water and sewer goes quite a bit here.
So we're still gonna run into
Water
water.
and sewer right here.
Yeah.
So
You
that's,
go aerial from there to the house. No problem, no right of way, no easements.
No, but then you just have more power lines in the air that you gotta look at, in an area that's a beautiful area.
You're gonna have power
Well,
lines in the air coming this way.
Yeah, well, we're up higher.
Airing's not an option.
say it again?
Can we confirm that? Airing these from, even from this point, is it?
We don't
Yeah,
know.
why don't we confirm
Well,
that?
this is the electric.
And then with,
representative
he
here.
couldn't
Can you-
confirm.
All right, do me a favor, why don't we take some seats over there, guys, for a second till we
Well, the
regroup?
question is whether or not it can be buried.
from pole 8?
I'll be honest, I don't know what pole it is, so you have to show what pole it is.
Probably one of these right here or something.
There
Yep.
is another option, and I don't know if anybody would be interested in the town, is that if we buried from this pole, in other words, came out in the street and came down on the other side of the utilities.
Awesome, that'd be awesome.
But according to what the electric company is telling me.
That'd be awesome.
The town is
That-
not interested
no
in digging
pole
up the streets to
needed,
put
no
power in.
wires.
I'm adverse to dig up a street
It's
we've
such a
paved
short
recently.
strip, too.
It hasn't been paved recently, and it's probably gonna get dug up because of the issues with the sewer
Yeah.
down there.
It's busted, Wetmore's.
That froze
I
every day.
gotta say this, Chuck, and Jay, you gotta come in on this too, whatever you think. It seems to me, with all the issues that have relationship to that neighborhood with this pole, if there is the ability to go underground, it seems to me it would be better.
Yes.
And we would subsidize, I mean, we would pay if there was a,
Yes.
you know, we're not adverse to throwing some money at doing the repaving or whatever it takes to put the road back together if you need a little extra cash
That's what I wanted to hear.
to put the
Now,
road back together.
That would have to be him.
But
Okay.
we would like to fix the sewer at the same time, you know?
Right.
You know, if you can, there's a big puddle that forms there, right, Paul? Out in the front?
Huge.
I mean,
It's like a lake.
you guys could take a look at that, grade it up a little bit. But the problem is.
I don't know how
with-
quickly
Yeah, with.
this is all going to happen.
3
You've
weeks
gotta
from
get dig
completion.
safe in there, you're gonna have to get our highway surveyor in there, he has to agree with all of this, okay, cause it is digging up our road. It's gonna take a little while to do this, but if that's the option,
Yeah, that's-
if you're willing to do that, what do you think?
Does,
It's a good option, but a bad time.
Sam, I mean, you guys are busy, you've got a lot going on. Does National Grid advise these people how the engineering would go for something like that? Do they get a clear picture from National Grid?
I'm not sure if I understand the
In other words, they're looking at hypothetically, I think I'll go across the road. But you've got to, you know, well, no, you're gonna be paying someone to put it underground.
We would pay, we're paying National Grid to install the pole and install the handhold. And then we have to pay an additional charge to my electrician.
To go underground.
An excavator to go from the handhold to the house. The handhold ends up on my
Yep.
property here. But, and I can answer your question because you're probably asking somebody that doesn't know. As the consumer dealing with National Grid, and nothing against you guys, it's painful. It's not an easy process. It's difficult to get a hold of them. You've got to schedule time to get down there. You know, he's got a million scenarios. You know, you're trying to do something that's good for the neighborhood, you know, so it's not affecting the views of everybody. And you just go back and forth of what you can't do this, you can't do that, which is okay. I mean, I understand that they have to engineer this, it's gonna last 100 years or whatever. But that was our first suggestion. Why can't we go from that pole underground all the way to the house? And then nobody, you know, everybody's happy. And the answer was the town won't dig up the street.
Well,
Town will dig up the street.
this is pole,
Oh, yeah, yeah. I just don't want this pole.
All right, so say no pole
Yeah.
underground the whole way if they allow
That's
it?
fine with me, yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, that's the best solution,
good.
but it was told right off the top, forget
Well,
about
that's
it.
why I didn't list it as an
Can you,
option.
can you go look to see if
I
you
was-
guys can do that?
I can do that, but I have been informed that from pole 8, if we were to dig directly to
What?
Mr. Lynch's home, it would, our conduit would be in the way of the water and the sewer
So
lines.
they're saying that they can figure something out, so you can go over that there.
Sam,
You can just
if pole 8 is right here,
That's the thing.
and that's stuck in the ground, where's the water and sewer in relationship to that pole that's stuck in the ground?
It's hard to say.
I don't know that answer.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
do me
not
a
on this.
favor, we've got to find out,
I can tell you, I know, I mean, I saw everything. I've been there.
well, I mean, if the pole's stuck in the ground, if the pole's in the ground here, is the water and sewer on this side of it?
The pole in the ground, the water and sewer is in front of it. If you're
On this
talking
side
about
of it?
Mr. Lynch's property.
On
In
this
the
side?
road.
The old pole that used to be there?
No, pole 8,
It's in the
from
road
which
right
you'd
now.
run to.
Oh, from here to there?
Mhm.
That doesn't make sense at all to do.
I'm sorry, what
You
was
do
your
whatever
question?
you want. I mean, that's ridiculous. To do that, you might, I don't understand why you're not burying it. Yeah, that wouldn't,
Pole 8 is right here.
It's the pole. Side of the road.
yeah.
The
And then
water
bury
and
it.
sewer is in the road. This-
So it's in the road, that's what I wanted
Oh,
to
yeah,
know.
yeah, water and sewer down here and water and sewer down
Then
here.
it comes down.
So
Three lines here.
why can't he run, this is, if the pole's here, that's still a right-of-way, because the pole sits in it. why can't he run underground right down to his house?
That's what I'm asking. That's what we want.
Right here.
You gotta,
Yeah.
Bobby, do you see this here?
no, I understand, but what
Oh.
I was told
Underneath
is
here.
that
For advisement.
they need a
Yeah,
significant.
we're gonna,
When you
so,
put an
hold on.
underground utility, you need a bunch of space.
I mean, this might be
All right.
easier
Bunch
than
of width.
making this.
Yeah, how wide a space do you
I'm
need?
not an engineer, but
Electrical,
Okay, you're 3 feet deep, so you're a foot above the sewer and the water.
yeah, yeah.
So what they're saying, and this is something I asked John, is, and Georgia brought it up, can you run right along the edge of this road? With, you're gonna be,
because they might have to dig it up probably, I don't know.
the problem is that the difference between the road and the private property is at the edge of the hot dot.
It's paved to the fence.
Paved right to the property line. So if you go on
Is it
George's
paved to a
property, it
fence
needs
or
an
to a
easement,
private?
and it needs a big easement. And if you go in the road, the story was the town was not allowing any digging in the roads.
Now, the pole, the paving goes right up to the pole?
Yes. Poles, what I was told.
I think we are gonna need to have a clearer picture of what can be done from you guys. So.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Who's you
homework to
guys?
be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what-
Who's you guys?
Meaning,
It's pretty much this guy
I
here.
can find out information about the water and sewer lines.
Yeah.
and I
Okay.
can get back to you.
yeah,
All right.
because, and we'll take it under advisement and, I mean, is advisement or table it, Tracy?
Well, what can I suggest something? And
Conti-
I'm sure it's not gonna
Continue,
fly.
Continue
continue
the
it.
public hearing.
Before you do that. What we would like to do is explore any alternative. The problem is we're 3 weeks away from completion on the home, and we don't have power. And what this sounds like is we're talking months to be able to get anywhere. What, can we do something on a temporary basis based on this plan? And we'll go, we won't go underground, we'll go to where the pole location is, and we'll go overhead with the stipulation that we're gonna apply for and try to get this underground service and get that done. And that way we can get power to the house and get going.
Are you
And
talking about the temporary pole you have up now?
We don't have,
An
no,
actual
no,
house?
no, no. No, I'm talking about what's proposed here tonight.
No.
Do me a favor. We'll continue this public hearing. And you're gonna have to work more succinctly with National Grid and your neighbors. We can't do it for you. We just don't have the ability to do it. We don't know where the sewer is.
Working with
We don't.
National Grid. I'm just telling you the reality of the situation.
I'm not positive, I mean, I can't say that you might have to hire, an engineer to help you, I don't know. But we can't make those decisions, especially with water and sewer and city infrastructure in the way. So,
Who can say, okay, you can take these electric lines? All right, so basically what happens there, he buries them along, and eventually they're coming across here. Where am I? Right about here? Did you say, Bob? Somewhere
I mean,
in
Yeah, the power, it's going to that box right there.
doesn't
right there.
Newburyport have to be aware of what they're trying to do if they go underground?
Yes,
Because
they would
they're
have to be
they're water and
consulted, but
sewer.
my understanding is, and I'm not an attorney, you can only act on the proposal that's before you
Right.
this evening.
Okay.
So,
That makes it easy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's been advertised
What do you
for
use
the
it now
public
for
hearing.
power?
We have a temporary
Temporary
service,
pole.
and we're running
You're
an
absolutely
extension
right,
cord
Tracy.
overhead
Thank you for
to
that.
run the heat on.
Yeah, no,
No electricity.
I feel your pain working for Grid, because we built our entire farm stand. I burned out 3 generators before the service got hooked up.
It's
So, I mean,
unbelievable.
I feel your pain,
Yeah.
but.
I mean, the people, the representatives that you talk to on the phone are very nice. And everybody's very nice, but it's a, I don't know what it is. It's like a government, it's
You're not the first person.
like this government.
You have to realize,
Really good up until we get up.
you also have to realize the
Bob,
reason.
just to move forward, Paul and I are okay going across there, whatever you gotta do alongside, you just gotta let them to say yes, and then
Yeah.
town of Newburyport. So I'm all right
And
with it.
here's where we are.
And these guys.
Town administrator, being smarter than I am, has also recommended that we can only basically rule on what's advertised in the public hearing.
You
So
know what
we're
time
gonna
it is.
make
Right.
a motion to continue the public hearing until we hear from you with some definitive
When would be the
information.
next time, you continue it for 2 weeks?
When,
When's voting? Is that gonna run into
That's
the
the
2
voting.
weeks? Yeah.
So that's a month. puts us off a month. I say we go for this. I mean, Paul is saying it's 10 feet from his house. It's on the property line. It's a 10-foot setback on the side. Every
Well,
telephone pole in
You
Plum
can
Island
vote.
is 10 feet away
Say it
from the
again.
house, if
You
not
can
closer.
take action on the proposal that's before you here this evening.
on this one,
On this as it's proposed and advertised.
but we can't amend it and take any action on that.
I don't believe so.
All right,
If you vote it down, do we start all over again? Do we restart the clock? If we continue it, where does that put us?
Well, the reason for these public hearings is to bring forth the opposition to not do it. And you have some pretty serious opposition here
Well,
tonight
let me-
that
can I-
we have to listen to.
Right. I
So, I
understand
mean, I
that.
appreciate your plight, but
I hear one person opposed, is Paul. Are you opposed to this to this pole in that area?
Yeah, it have to be, because I want it dug under. Why can't we just switch it to dug under, put it under like you
Right.
just
Well,
said?
like,
Well, that's
Where-
not,
where-
that
So different.
that is not the option on the table. You're just saying you don't
We'd have
want
to
it
see.
there for, because you don't want to look at the power lines, you don't want to.
Well, the temporary thing.
The underground should not be something that the board is looking at, because typically, underground is not what is anywhere on Plum Island, and that basically, what George is saying is he's, saying that it should be
well,
underground.
then let's
It's
do
not an
this.
option.
Let's do this. And we can't vote on this tonight. It seems like we could definitely vote on this, and we'll take a vote on what we're gonna do with the proposal before us. If you are pushing for a telephone pole, George, you're gonna be against that pole being sited here by the monument?
The monument's gonna be worse than where it is over there.
I think, we're
I mean, that's
saying
on his
this-
property anyway,
It would
basically.
be nice to have it under the ground. I don't know. You're saying you can
Mike,
do that?
do me a favor.
What happened in the underground?
We're gonna take a
We're so
vote.
close here.
We're gonna take a vote, and you guys got some homework to do. All right? So, can I have a motion on the proposal that's before us from National Grid to site a pole next to the fence with wires going overhead and then underground to Mr. Lynch's house? Can I have a motion on that?
okay. Sorry if I'm slightly confused.
No.
As for the proposal as it is right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a motion on the table already and seconded.
What was it?
And it was to approve the plan. Then we were listening.
Yep.
So, with the opposition, I'm not comfortable voting for it,
I'm
Mr.
not
Chairman.
either. I think we'd be doing a disservice not to, and I've been in your position. Like I said, I've burned out generators waiting for the grid, but
I'm curious to the reason that I understand his opposition.
it just seems like if we do some homework into if there's any options, what they are.
I've done that homework with National Grid, and I run up against a dead stop on every proposal that I went. Most of which, except for the proposal of putting the pole at the monument, which we did discuss, but it was George's opinion at the time, I think, George, and if I can't remember, that wouldn't be the best for his, because that sort of is in the way of you. But
I mean, basically at the monument, things are in a straight line. They're on the same side of the road.
put it at the,
It doesn't make,
It's like 30 feet from George's house. We're like 10 feet from mine.
all right, so do me a favor. Do you want, is it best, Tracy, to continue this meeting or take a vote on the proposal before us? What do you think?
Vote denial
Yep.
on this proposal, then come back with an alternative
All right.
Right.
proposal.
30 days
Yeah.
from now.
So we need to.
Unless you want to have a meeting on the 12th just for that particular,
Um,
it's up to
we
you.
can see where these guys get with information
Okay.
to help them get in this house. So, so you're gonna have to withdraw, Chuck, the first,
Vote it down.
vote it down. We can do that, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Can't amend this at all? Can't amend this? Put the
No,
pole
you
where-
have to resubmit a plan for the pole where you want it
Where
to
you
move
want
it to. You have to resubmit the plan to
No.
us.
All right, so make a motion.
And as I say, there is a motion on the table to approve.
Yep.
So,
All of them.
Any more discussion?
none on my part.
All those in favor of the plan before us? All those against the plan before us?
I am. Sorry, sir, but
Sorry.
you have to resubmit that with that pole in that new spot, resubmit the plan to us, then we will approve that.
As long as
I
they'll
know.
let it- well, as long as they'll let us go
Thank you for-
underground.
Well, the only thing is, if the pole's okay there, then you're out of the way of the water and sewer, so come back to us when you're ready.
Well, we're not out of the way of the water and sewer if we want to go underground for them.
Well, you might be going to the house,
Okay, so you're gonna have wires in your face.
so.
He has wires in his basement.
All right, let's go. We voted, guys. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for coming in.
We probably would wait till they have, well, how did that go, Jeff? All right.
That was good, let's try another one.
Sam, we have another one. A public hearing will be held on Tuesday, April 28th at 7:15 PM, Newbury Town Hall, 25 High Road, Newbury, Mass., on the petition of National Grid Plan 184031. 41, oh gosh, I've heard this before. Proposes to install approximately 14 feet, so this is the exact same plan.
It is.
So we can pass over this. Right, we could actually just,
Correct.
because we've, all right. Now, this is a different one.
That's no problem.
A public hearing will be held on Tuesday, April 28th at 7:15 PM at Newbury Town Hall, 25 High Road, Newbury, Mass., on the petition of National Grid. That's what we're looking for, a different number. 1888-3609. Request permission to locate poles, wires, and fixtures, including the necessary sustaining protecting fixtures along and across the public way at 5th Street. Install new SO pole 5-2, 75 feet from SO pole 5-1.
Correct. Yes.
Steve, you're here for that? Would you like to come to the microphone?
Sure. Good evening, Steve DeSalvo, 16 Northern Boulevard.
Give us the lay of the land, too, and what this is doing.
So this, as I understand it, although I haven't, I'd like to actually see more information if you have it. This is to provide electric service, I'm guessing, to the rebuild of the Bizzata property that's now been purchased by another homeowner to rebuild on that scaffolding that was set up behind the Tobin's property. Even though it's 16R, it's not directly behind mine, it's adjacent. 5th Street, which is the right-of-way, is between us. At the time the house was demolished in 2008, shortly thereafter, when the house was disconnected, that pole was taken down by someone, I don't know who. It actually still sits in the pathway on the dune. It's partially buried in the sand, which that's another issue, just FYI. The pole sits there, and I'm not sure whether they're going to use the same one. I kind of doubt it, but anyway. I just want to understand where this is going. So I understand that, you know, there was a pole there before that served the Bizzata home when it was there. The new homeowner, when they build the home, will want service. I just, because the first pole that's referenced in the proposal is on the corner of my property on the north side of the right-of-way at 5th Street. I want to understand where this new pole is going, because it runs up alongside my house. And, you know, I've got some questions based on what I learned. And, you know, for instance, you even probably remember, Jeff, I've been trying to find out for several months who put this stake on my property.
National Grid.
And, well, if it was them, it's actually right where my access is off my deck into the right-of-way.
So that was,
I just want to know where they're
Yeah.
proposing to put the That's 16th Street, that's the other proposal, they are.
I got things all full.
all right, JR, sit next to me too over here so we can, we're all in the same lot. Steve, if the pole went in the same place as the pole was for the Bizzata house when it existed, that first pole would not be an issue then to you?
No, I mean, I would understand that if that's the case.
Okay.
So I want to see that. I mean, I guess the question I would have is that if that's the case, it would then run across the right-of-way at Fifth Street. It's not a big deal either way, and, you know, I'm not gonna argue the fact that it used to be on the north side. It has to run from the north side of the right-of-way across to the south side. Again, it's only 10 feet or whatever, but it's more in my line of sight. You know, but that's why I just wanna understand what the proposal is, and,
Yeah.
Understandably.
yeah, so.
Yep.
Sam, can you offer Steve a clearer picture? And then, if it's possible to reinstall an existing pole where it was, why
Right,
aren't
that's
they?
the picture, yeah. Okay, but it's hard to tell, so I mean, it's obviously, it's a picture of when it was there before, so I'm not gonna dispute it. You can't really tell from this exactly where it is relative to the right-of-way. And so I wanna know, because again, it may not have been National Grid, but somebody put a stake, a 2x2 wooden stake.
Was it painted white?
It wasn't painted at all. And I've asked several different possible culprits, as Jeff knows, who put it there, because I tripped over it a few times, so I painted it black, so I won't hurt myself. I've respected that it must be there for a reason, so I haven't pulled it out. But if you were gonna put it there, I'd have a big problem, because that's not, in my recollection, exactly where the pole was, because that's exactly where I walk out of my.
May I ask where the stake is in either in this plan or the photograph?
Well, it's rough, it's right off the edge, so you can see my deck here. It's there's a gate to my deck toward the ocean. And then the pathway that I come up to the right of way and then I walk out. It would appear to be right around that same spot. Now, I don't know if you would have.
would be our engineer.
And he would have put it in last fall?
It wasn't painted white.
Not to my recollection.
Yeah.
It was put in literally 1 to 2 inches above the sand line, which is treacherous, because you can't see it.
Steve, is that stake not where the old pole was?
I'm not certain. It's within 8 to 10 feet, so it's in the vicinity. You know, the dune is shifted, right? That's where the project was done in 2010. So, you know, and I don't dispute the fact that my property line is adjacent to the right-of-way. You know, tons of people walk up by my house every day. I accept that. That is what it is. So.
Your house, which I know well,
Yeah,
right away, right next to it?
yeah. So,
Pizzata property across the right of way?
correct. So the Tobins own the home across the right-of-way on the street side next to me. I don't know what, they're 14, I guess, probably. And then, so, you know, because I own a double lot, so I have two lots. The house basically is on one lot, the other lot is effectively the easement I gave for the project. And then the Tobins own sort of the lot just south of me, right on the street, and then right behind them is this lot that's mostly easement, right, because it hangs over the steel structure hangs over the dune. So, you know, again, they need to get power, I get it, you know. Listening to the last conversation, I'd love it if we're underground too, to be honest with you, but, you know, and there is no asphalt there. Well, Pizzata's asphalted their part of the right-of-way. I don't know whether that was approved or not, but anyway, it's existing.
If that pole were definitely to the south side of the right of way?
I prefer that, because then it would be more flush with the house. There will never be construction on the north side, because I own it and it's restricted. So from a view standpoint, since it's the ocean view and it's not just me, it's, you know, the people back on 4th Street there who look down that way, you know, I think would also be in agreement. And I don't, honestly, there's never gonna be any traffic there, so all it is cutting across that 10 feet right away, and it's gonna serve them directly anyway. The question will be maybe where to site it, I guess, you know, and in fairness to the Tobins, you know, their property line goes, you know, there isn't much room. if you know this lot, because of where, you know where the easement is, right? You know there, that structure hangs over the dune. I mean, it's a very small piece of land they're building on there. But it may well be doable, and I don't, you know, technically, I guess it must be in the right of way, because I'm sure you're not proposing to put it on my property, so theoretically, the pole, I'm trusting, I know.
But
it's in
in
the
all,
right of
but
way.
also, it's probably not in the very middle of the right-of-way to the beach either, right?
It wouldn't be in the middle, it's on my, it's basically on the edge of my property. It's where it was and where I'm assuming they want to put it.
And that would be okay.
That's where it was. I'd prefer, if you ask me my preference, I'd rather have it be on the other side of the right-of-way, next to the house it's serving,
Yeah.
rather than running along the north side of the right-of-way and then going over the top of it. Because then from a line of sight standpoint, it blends in with the house that's going up, rather than being further north and then being more visible in terms of the view. But again, you may or may not be able to do that, but since you asked the question.
So
I
once
answered.
again, and Tracy's usually right, if Tracy's right, we actually have to respond to what's before us, Tracy? So we're talking about the sighting of the pole. I can say this, somehow this can't happen anymore, Sam. We've got to figure a better way to do this. I don't know how to do it, maybe we can, work together on it, but I mean, I think these things almost have to have, and you probably never did it before because it would have excited too many neighbors or something, I don't know, Plum Island's very condensed. But it's hard for everyone to even visualize on a schematic where the pole really is. If you do put stakes in the ground, do you guys put stakes in the ground for where the pole's gonna go? I highly suggest that that would be a really good thing to do before you come to us on these things, so we really know, in case we even have to get down and look.
I'll tell you this, if you're proposing to put the pole where that stake is, and again, I'm only assuming it's your stake, it's not marked or identified, so in fairness to you, it may not be. I would be against it, and I would ask you to come down and look at it, because to me, I recall, based on my recollection of where the pole was, and I can look at pictures too I have pictures of the day that the Pizzata house was taken down, et cetera, where I can sort of line of sight, figure it out. It seems like it's further toward my house than where it was. And you'll see that, again, it's within 6 to 8 feet, 10 feet of where it was, so it's within the neighborhood, but it's irrelevant given where the dune is and what my access is from my property, from my deck, out to the right-of-way that takes me down to the beach.
Can I?
And I tell you, for what it's worth, I feel for the other homeowner who's dealing with this issue and the timeliness. There's no construction has started yet, so while I'm sure there's an intention to start construction, I gather, I don't know that, it's not gonna be a problem that has to be solved within 30 days.
I'm gonna ask my board, I don't know if you'd want it in the form of a motion, but I think, Sam, I'd like to ask you from now on, when you come to these things, to put a stake in the ground so that people know exactly where it is, so there's not, like Steve has this hypothetical question in his mind, where it's gonna be.
It's possible, sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
That if the stake was there, but somebody took it out, I'm not exactly sure.
You know what, if it's, that could easily happen.
That, you said that was in the fall. I know when John received this job, it was in the winter time.
Well, it's late fall,
I don't
so
know.
I haven't moved any other stakes and no one else would have.
Could
so I
have been
don't-
3 feet of snow there.
But
Hadn't thought of that, yeah. So do you want a motion to deny, or a motion to table?
I think we've gotta do something, and, I think before we proceed with anything like this, whether we deny or not, is we've gotta have something in the ground, so people know where it's gonna go. So, we could continue this, public hearing until another date, and Sam, you gotta get down there and stake that. And then come back before us. Does that make sense to you, Steve? Are you okay with that?
yeah, and I'm gonna do my research now that I know for certain. If they're saying So if they come back and they say, we're gonna relocate this where it used to be,
Yep.
I'm gonna wanna verify that. And, you know, to me, it's not a perfect world, but I'll probably accept it.
Well, I think,
I'd like, to me, if, at least for consideration, I know you can't make that decision tonight, but if we're gonna go through this again, why not look at locating it on the corner of the homeowner's property, not my property? Again, it's not as egregious an issue as these other folks seem to have on 16th and 20th Street, but to me, all things being equal, why not? I mean, when I bought my property in 1998, it was already there, serving the Bizzata property. I bought it knowing that it was fine. It's since been taken down, and, you know.
Sam,
Yes.
who makes the determination of where these poles go? Is it the length of the swing of the wires, so that's where that pole would go, because that's the length from one pole to pole?
Our standards dictate how we place our poles for the most part. The reason why we're doing it this way, we try to keep our lines in line instead of crossing the street at an angle.
Yep.
You know, it's a safety issue.
But that's not a street. I mean, technically, it's called Fifth Street, but it's a right-of-way. There's no vehicle traffic that goes up there. And there never will be.
I mean, I think it's probably a good thing for National Grid if they can to site a pole on the property of the people that are asking for the power.
May I show you this drawing?
I am.
Just as an illustrative one?
Because it makes sense that, and they might do other things if they have the pole, but it's easy for them not to go underground and do other things when they don't have the pole.
So this is my property.
I get this, same thing.
Yeah, okay, so this is my property.
Yep.
Lot 12. The property that's receiving the electric service is
Yep.
this one, Lot
Yep.
15, that's the
Yep.
old Bizzata property. You know, again, the dune cuts across here.
Yep.
This property will hang over the dune, it's cantilevered with that steel structure. You know, the old pole was, in fairness, on this side of the right-of-way.
And it's kind of like this, if that's the ocean, right?
Yes.
Yep.
You know, so I want to if it has to be on this side of the right of way, which my deck basically is right where the P is where the corner of it is, I'd say, well, I want to make sure it's as far as it was originally, that it hasn't somehow crept closer.
Yep.
And I guess I would like to propose for consideration why it couldn't come here.
Do these folks have a driveway off of
No,
this?
no.
Really?
They have no parking rights.
I remember this lot now. Yeah.
That's the house that was lost.
Right.
You know, I'd say, well, why can't you run the line and have it be here? They've got that huge steel structure anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Have it be adjacent to their house. And,
Yep.
and there, to me, there's no safety issue that I'm aware of. There's no water or sewer pipe running,
If you're overhead, it doesn't as
yeah,
much.
I'm not sure where theirs is. It may, which side of the right of way theirs runs up to this, but anyway.
Make a huge
But-
difference.
But, you know, well, if it's above ground, it shouldn't matter. Why couldn't it be there? And then, and I just asked the question hypothetically, why couldn't it be underground? Because aesthetically, again, if it's more money, then that's a different issue and whatever, you know.
Of course it is.
And if you've got water and sewer.
But aesthetically, it would be nice not to have another pole there, but whatever, you know, I don't begrudge them wanting electric service. It's
Nope.
natural, so.
Which is good.
I can bring that back and just have, like, sort of repropose a new location for the pole.
Okay. All right, motion to continue.
Seconded.
Good enough, or should we vote this?
You should probably vote it down if you're
That's
gonna
what I'm
bring an
thinking.
alternative
I can see
proposal.
Tracy's eyes. All right, so we're gonna
Advertise
make a
it.
motion, Chuck, to probably deny this,
All right.
and then you'll come in
That's
again,
just what I'll
Sam.
do then.
Okay.
Withdraw my motion to continue, and I'll make a motion to deny.
Seconded.
We've had discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, you've had a tough day?
Which one was yours? This one, Sam? Thanks.
Yep.
And Sam,
Thank you for coming in and putting up the,
absolutely stick the stakes in the ground. so it makes it easier.
That would be helpful too, because then I could come in more informed if I knew that's what that was.
Okay.
Can I address the board for 1 second? You have time? Just a point of order, I'm just trying to understand. With the denial, does that mean that the National Grid is going to have to resubmit and you'll have to renotice?
Yep.
Can I ask the board to reopen that and just do a continuance on it and keep this alive? What we'd like to do is go back to National Grid and just say, can you move the pole to the monument, and we're going to go overhead, no issues with underground utilities, no issues with, crossing water and sewer lines, and then we'll deal with trying to get underground at a later date when they dig the road up to fix the sewer.
I mean, Tracy, until we get a ruling from town council, I'm kind of running on,
She'll be here tomorrow.
she'll be here.
It's citing the pole in a different location.
Yeah, so, no, we're gonna stick with what we did. How long does it take for you guys to get stuff done?
We submit this with a pole at the monument and go overhead, so.
The design's fairly easy, it can be done within a week.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Sam.
And then you have to get it on the docket.
Yep.
So we're talking 30 days.
No.
Yeah, I mean, if it really comes back to us and,
Because you have to renotice it, it has to be in the paper.
2 weeks.
to
2
what
weeks,
date?
and then you miss the next meeting.
Yeah.
We're a month away. We can't go back and just table it, and then we can get into the next meeting, because if they're a week away from getting this, just a new sketch back to you, everybody agreed, you heard the neighbors said that
No.
they'd go for it.
We're gonna stick with the denial the way it is. If town council tells us different, how can we operate? Can't,
We
because it's been
can't.
done.
We can't.
All right. If, you have power now, right?
No, we have no power.
You have
It's
temporary-
outlets
We have
on
an
a extension
temporary.
cord running across the ground to keep the heat on, that's it.
When are you gonna be in the house?
We're 3 weeks away.
We could have a small special meeting to get you in your house, I should think. Would you guys be amenable?
We
Fine
still
with-
have to do the public hearing advertisements.
Yep.
We can't.
If you
2
just
weeks.
continue
Oh, boy.
it, then the public hearing.
But it's still only 2 weeks then.
National Grid has to get it back to us in a week.
Yep.
Then we have to, how long does it take to get it in the paper? You do,
I mean, get it in if I have it in, it usually is advertised Monday and Monday.
Monday and Monday, so it has to advertise for 2
Is
weeks.
it 14 days?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And then you'd have to get it on the next agenda.
Which is the election. 2 weeks from today's election.
That doesn't even hit that, does it?
Continue it. And they can get
It's
it
a
back to
different
you. It's a
proposal.
real simple
Huh?
change,
It's a different proposal.
right? That's a simple change.
You know what it is? I mean, if we don't do it the way you're supposed to do it, it won't be legal what we did.
Even if you just continue it?
See, it's a whole different proposal. It's a change. So, with the information we have at hand right now, we have to kind of stay on that. Hold on for, I know, hold on for 1 second. No. With the information we have right now, we're kind of stuck.
Okay. All right. appreciate it.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I just want to say, if you want it to be on the 26th, it has to be advertised on the 11th and the 18th. So I'd have to have it by the 6th of May.
Now, do you have contact, Sam, do you have contact with Mr. Lynch? Have you guys been talking?
John, who's the designer of this job,
All
will
right,
get back to him.
yeah, good.
We're all buddies.
Well, see if we can get it done this time, good. All right, thank you. John, are you awake?
This is
I don't
where
know if I am. Steve, thanks. Yeah,
This is where we left off, right here.
okay. So, we're at the discussion and approval of appointments to the SNN, which is the Salisbury, Newbury, and Newburyport Task Force for Great Marsh Coastal Community Resiliency an additional program as follows. John, do you want to get up and, as the new-to-be-elected point person?
Sorry, Jeff, what was?
I said, as the newly to be appointed point person, you.
Okay. Jeff, you might want to reconsider that. In looking over what I gave you for your packet, I noticed I misspelled my own name.
You can blame someone else. Can't you blame someone else?
I'm just mentioning that, just FYI. Okay, would you like to, what would you like me to say?
I mean, you could kind of fill people in that are before you, that this is what we discussed
Sure.
2 weeks ago.
Right.
And you're continuing forthwith on what you were charged to do. You've put the task force together, and
Right.
these are the people that are there. And our mission, guys, is to, as John explains a little bit, once again, to refresh our memory, we're going to make a motion to accept these people as appointees to that committee.
Okay. Well, Jeff gave you a briefing on the history of the last year's worth of study for dune reinforcement, for removal of invasive species and so forth. He can speak far more intelligently about that than I can. I wasn't there, he was. The next phase of this is to work with the communities that are part of the Great Marsh area, the 6 of us, to develop a municipal plan to deal with sea level rise, okay? This started out as money coming from the Department of the Interior. It went to the Fish and Wildlife Service. They subbed it out to the National Wildlife Federation, who they are not really just tree huggers. They are a name brand nationwide. They're a nonprofit, but they have serious credibility nationwide. They're good people. They in turn, for the municipal portion of this, have subbed out the planning work to the Ipswich River Watershed Association, who also have, a fair amount of credibility. The advantage of working with this, of course, is we got a far better chance of getting grant money to do something about it as time goes on, if we have, a national level plan in place. I got some concerns about the procedure. First of all, we're working with 2 other towns. Although we share things, we share an industrial park and JR's farm with Newburyport, the Little River watershed, which has flooded seriously in the past. And we share a beach problem with Salisbury. We still are 3 different towns. We're going to be meeting together, and the task force, as I read the plan, is meeting 3 times to work out the plan and once more to say grace over the final thing. In addition to that, there'll be 2 public hearings that will be open to everybody. It seems to me that's not nearly enough time to give appropriate input. I mean, it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. Salisbury and Newburyport, although we have commonalities, we have drastically different issues. I'm going to try to wait a little bit before I start offending people. So, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Presumably, we're going to be meeting within the next couple of 3 weeks. Early May is what I'm told.
But don't we have the ability, and have you looked at it too, Martha, yet? Don't we have the ability, John, to pull a lot of that back to our own place of business? Okay.
Absolutely right.
So in essence, okay, it's a real funny thing.
Yeah.
Because I can be kind of territorial, but it kind of gives us the ability to recognize some of the work that the other places are doing, because they're doing a lot of good work. And maybe not so good work. But, it's almost like a sharing of information.
Yep.
And yet, we can probably bring it back and ground it here in Newbury. So maybe they're smarter than you and I think they are.
Well, I'm not criticizing their IQs. I think they're quite smart. I am just concerned that there's enough time
Yeah.
to get.
Yeah, it's never enough, yeah.
The other side of the coin is that there's only 6 people, okay? There's probably at least a dozen just within the town government that have a dog in this fight. We don't have the building inspector who's in charge of the FEMA flood elevations. We don't have the fire chief, we don't have the police chief, we don't have our town administrator, for heaven's sakes. There's not room for everybody. So what we've been talking about informally within Newbury, our own gang, is having meeting with the six, because if we bring everybody, we're gonna have a huge crowd, and that's never gonna work. And then having our own meetings internally. And then whenever there's a public safety issue, see if we can't just bring in Mike and Nate to the meetings and let them speak for themselves. Newburyport is in the process of appointing their own task force. I don't want to say who they are because I don't think the mayor has approved it yet, but from what I'm hearing, the people proposed and even the maybes, they're all good people, and I don't think we're gonna have any problem at all working with them. I have known nothing about what Salisbury is up to. They hadn't, they were still talking with the town manager the last I heard. So-
Well, I think it's gonna be interesting, and I think it's something we didn't have before, so.
Oh, yeah. It's
we'll-
definitely a
yeah.
good thing. I
Yep.
think it's a step forward, and I think we'd be foolish not to participate.
All right, so what John's here to ask is, can we have a motion to approve the people you see before you in the agenda to be on that committee?
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Tracy, you're way back there. Do you want to go now, or do you want us to finish new business? What do you want to do?
How much more new business have you?
You're getting tired, you'll be gone.
4 to 5,
Let's do,
isn't it?
let Tracy go.
Okay. A couple of things before we get into the warrant. I just wanted to notify you if you haven't heard already.
Oh, no. And you're here for the warrant
For the
anyway,
warrant,
guys.
yes.
Good, so that makes
Yes,
it better.
yes.
Good.
Excuse me, the Council on Aging has been awarded a grant of $48,320 for the purchase of their van that's been proposed and approved by the
That about
Capital
pays for it
Planning
all, doesn't
Committee. It does, it's about $11,000 short of the
Wow.
complete payment,
Now,
so.
is that why Mary McValley is reorganizing their tip or something I read in here?
No, that doesn't have anything
Oh,
to do with
okay.
that. No, no. I did want you to be aware of the fact, too, we had 2 land court cases this year, and both of them have been resolved by the court, and the principal assessor represented the town, and both of them ruled in our favor. So that, I just wanted you to be aware of some of the changes that have been going on, and we've been setting very solid values, and we've been in a position that we're prepared to defend them, and we've come out with a positive ruling, so
great.
that's great news.
Congratulations, Michelle.
Yes, Michelle has done a lot of work over the last year. Animal Control Officer Carol LaRock reported that she has established an official pet food pantry that will be opening up this Friday, the 30th, at the Methodist Church in Byfield. So she's been doing a lot of work with that, and now she has an official location. We've also been notified by the state that we are receiving winter recovery assistance, about $41,000. That's going to allow us to fill potholes, do some crack sealing, pavage, siding repairs, but we have to complete the work by June 30th in order to get the reimbursement. Let's see, and I guess that's everything I wanted to report to you before we get into the warrant review. And I wanted to ask Mr. Chairman if you would consider taking up Article 21 first. So Mr. Manter, he waited through the last entire meeting in hopes that we would get to it, and we didn't have enough time, but that we could take that up first.
Where are we here?
That would be the article to vote to transfer $200,000 from free cash to complete the field house project at Mantor Field. The Finance Committee tabled that article. They wanted to wait to hear from the Capital Planning Committee, and the Capital Planning Committee did vote against the, they voted disapproval of that project at this point in time.
And you're looking for a motion for us to include it back into as a...
Well, it's not, it's always included unless you decide to take
Take
it
it out,
off.
right.
But I thought the Recreation Committee might want to offer some information to the board before you take your vote.
Go ahead, Warren.
I'm gonna read this because they put these thoughts together.
Dave, move that down a little.
I'll grow up someday. We originally asked the town for $125,000 to finish the materials to finish the rec building. We're up there operating out of porta potties, and quite a while ago the selectmen supported us on getting $25,000 to buy the lumber for the shell. The purpose was that we wanted to get it so that we could use it in case of thunder showers, and quite frequently we get bad weather, and the kids, especially the little kids, are left there without a way to get home. And we're missing out on summer programs for that reason. I've had 2 summer programs proposed, and then the minute they find out they don't have any place they can go in, and we can't give them a building permit to go in until we finish the restrooms, etc. So the capital plan committee at that point, when we mentioned doing it that way and have volunteers buy the materials and volunteers install it, I thought we could complete it for $125,000. They said, well, let's go for the entire thing. The capital planning committee go for the $200,000. So Tracy was either at that meeting or we discussed it at a future meeting. Forgive wage, and she said that we could put it on the agenda. She didn't make any promises other than that. I respect that. So at that point, though, their idea was to let it out to a general contractor, and the feeling was there wasn't sufficient information on the plans, so we went back and hired a contractor through the folks' money to have the architects continue completing the plan. We have that completed. It really is important, one way or another, to finish that building. I don't really mind if we'd gone the other route, but of just buying the materials and trying out again. When we started that job, we were very successful, but then 2007 came and all the private money dried up, and I'm not good at chasing banks or chasing individuals, and so we have not received anything in the last few years, and we've run out of money for the materials. So I'd like to try to get that money to complete it with a $200,000 grant. And I'd like you folks to support it. In the past, you folks have supported it. When I say you folks, the selectmen have supported it. And bear in mind that we have not asked for a dime for maintenance and that since probably 2004. We took over the entire maintenance and have made it self-supporting. That's my story.
Thank you, Warren. Warren, before you sit down, capital planning has told us or asked us in the end, when are we getting the annual report?
I believe it was sent to the office this afternoon.
So, and the
mistaken, I haven't read it
and the
yet.
recommendation not to put this
Right.
was on that. Their advisory, they advise us. They advised us not to put this on. Finance Committee didn't particularly support this either. Do you want us to discuss keeping this on tonight? Would you like to see this? Would
I'd
Warren
like to
Manta like to see this go to the voters?
I'd like it to go to the voters and let them make the decision.
Okay. Now, it's up to my board to decide on that. So you have, JR, you're up to speed on what we're saying. We've been advised by capital planning, no. FinCom. is
Tabled.
Tabled, slowed it down. And we have the ability tonight to make a motion to take it off for the time being and revisit it, or Warren has asked us to leave it on and, as is. Probably don't even have to make a motion, right?
Well, what would happen is, at town meeting, a motion would be made for a particular amount. It doesn't have to be for 200,000, it could be for another amount of money. At this point, based on the design work that's been done, I would recommend you leave it at 200,000. We would then go out to bid, and whatever the bid price came in at, obviously, that's
So
the
it's some
amount
of
we
those
would
up to
spend. It's
200,000.
Right.
amount not to exceed. Right, right. And if in the meantime, Mr. Manter and I can work on petitioning the banks maybe for some grant money, or whoever else may be interested, that amount the motion at town meeting would be reduced, or any unspent funds between now and when construction began would just close out to free cash.
So my question again, Tracy, is, we don't need a motion to leave it in place. We only need
No.
a motion to take it out of its place.
Correct.
So what would the board like to do?
I'm for leaving it on.
JR?
Let the voters.
And I'm glad, I feel the same way. I think
Okay.
what we're starting to do is, on something like this, I think the people have the right to consider it.
Yeah.
So, thank you for your presentation, Warren.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
David, thanks for coming. So you're back on, yes.
Good
In
to see you,
the-
David.
The booklet that we prepare for the voters, we do take, the
So
Board
you
of
want a
Selectmen
motion?
does take votes on whether they approve or disapprove it. I mean, we know you want it to
Yep.
stay on, but
So we
then,
need a motion
Yeah.
that we approve it. So Chuck?
Article 21, or you
Yes,
want to do them
Article-
all?
No, Article 21.
Yeah,
We
motion to approve it for the warrant.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Point of order, is that an approval to put on the warrant, or is that saying you are recommending that voters approve?
No,
it's-
Right.
Put it on the warrant, let the voters decide.
And is that what you were asking for?
no. In the warrant booklet that we give to the voters, we record the Finance Committee recommendation and the Board of Selectmen recommendation. So the board goes on the record either voting approval or disapproval of the article. So the first step is that it stays on, and then the second step would be your vote on whether you approve it or disapprove it.
So you still comfortable, Chuck?
Yep.
Yep. JR? Yep, good. All right, Tracy, you're on.
Okay.
Just, so that's, you're recommending it?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so, we'll start with the special town meeting. We can go through these relatively quickly. The first article on the special town meeting is to fund the, snow and ice deficit, which currently stands at $143,822. The recommended funding source would be from free cash, and the Finance Committee has voted, approval, unanimous approval.
So we need a motion to approve, right? From us, Tracy? Yep.
We're going to approve each and every one, or we're going to go through them all?
We could,
We could be here a while if we do each and
No,
every
we-
one.
You have
I was just
to-
gonna say, I think probably have to, so let's go.
All right, motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The second one is a transfer of available funds in the amount of $14,763.65. It's funding that was left over from the work we did to the DPW facility, and we're asking for it to be transferred into the public building property related services account, and that was approved unanimously by the Finance Committee.
Motion to approve.
Seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And the final article on the special town meeting, actually, a bill came in today for Industrial Protection Services LLC for $41.90. It was a bill for the fire department, and it was a fiscal year 2014 bill. So this is what we refer to as an unpaid bill, and it does require a 9/10 vote, and the recommendation is that it be funded from free cash. Because it came in today, the Finance Committee is not aware of it yet, so they will have to take action on this.
All right, motion to approve.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Okay, so that's the end of the special town meeting warrant. The annual town meeting warrant, the first article that I would ask you to consider would be the Article 8. The rest are just repeats of questions. And that is the line item operating budget that we went through at an earlier meeting. The Finance Committee recommended unanimous approval, 500.
Motion?
Yep, motion to approve.
Seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Okay. Article 9 is a transfer of $100,000 into the stabilization fund. Finance Committee recommended unanimously to approve it.
Motion to approve.
Seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
I should note to you, the current balance in the fund is a little over $207,000, and that vote will require a 2/3 vote. Article 10 was for $25,000. That's the annual funding of our post-employment benefits account. Finance Committee recommended unanimous approval.
Approve.
Seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Okay. Article 11 was a transfer, is an appropriation from the tax rate, to raise and appropriate for $100,000. This is the increase to the snow and ice removal line item, and it's contingent upon the ballot initiative moving forward in a positive manner. And FinCom approved it.
Motion?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand it first.
That's the ballot question, so if at the ballot, it's turned down, we would recommend moving no action on that article as opposed to taking action at town meeting.
Thank you. Motion to
Yep.
approve.
Seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Article 12 is the design engineering phase of the public safety facility. This also is contingent upon the passage of the ballot initiative, the debt exclusion override. One thing I'd like the board to consider is the possibility of taking action on this, even if it is disapproved at town meeting. That's something we need to decide between now and then, and council will be here tomorrow to definitively discuss that. You don't have to decide tonight, but just that you're aware of it, because with an override vote, we also have another opportunity to propose it at a subsequent ballot if you want to call for another ballot vote in the fall. You've got, I believe it's 120 days on either side of the vote.
Huh.
I mean, I'm sorry, on either side of the ballot. You have 120 days to call for the vote, so we can continue trying, because even if it is disapproved, the needs don't go away, the issues don't go away. So we've got to continue to bring more attention to it. So that is for the approximately $990,000. When the motion is made on the floor, it would be for the $990,000 design costs. And the Finance Committee did vote unanimous approval.
Motion?
Motion to approve.
Seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The next Article 13 is requesting an appropriation of $13,400 from free cash to purchase digital scan vote tabulators. When you go in to vote, those machines that take
Yep.
your vote, we need to upgrade them. So that is, I believe, for 2 machines, but it may be one at each precinct, yes.
Okay, motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought you
That's
were
okay.
done, Tracy.
Article 14 is the third and final year of the fire department's structural firefighter gear replacement. It's for $36,000. It's coming from the stabilization fund. This also requires a 2/3 vote, and Finance Committee approved unanimously.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Article 15, $7,950 is simply the transfer of the money that we get in from the fire alarm boxes. We have to, town meeting has to vote to appropriate it to allow them to perform their maintenance repairs to the system, the fire alarm system. It's $7,950.
Motion to
And
approve.
Finance Committee approved.
Seconded.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Article 16 is requesting an appropriation of $125,000 for the road improvement program. That also is contingent upon the passage of the override proposal. The Finance Committee recommended unanimously.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Really?
Article 17 was for $500,000. It's a transfer from the sale of land account to fund the town hall sewer connection construction project. Let's see, it was approved unanimously by the Finance Committee.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Article 18 is to purchase an ATV for emergency management, police and fire use. $16,442 from free cash. The Finance Committee approved it 4-0, and there was 1 abstention.
Okay, motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
Article 19 was transferring $25,000 from free cash to purchase and install the precast concrete boat ramp. The Finance Committee approved it unanimously, and the Capital Planning Committee also approved it.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion,
Certainly needs it.
all those in
Ooh.
favor? Aye. Yeah, it's getting chewed up.
Okay, Article 20 was for $58,500 from the stabilization fund to purchase a van for the Council on Aging. Finance Committee approved it 5-0-0. The Capital Planning Committee approved it. When the motion is made at town meeting, the motion will be made for $11,000.
Yeah. Okay, motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Article 21 is transferring, requesting, oh, you've already voted on
22,
that, I
22.
apologize. Article 22 is the establishment, the annual establishment of the Recreation Revolving Fund in the amount of $50,000. That's the money that comes in for the rental of the fields. We have to
Yeah,
appropriate it
yes,
for
yes,
them to
yes,
spend
okay. Yep.
$50,000 a year. FinCom approved it unanimously.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And Article 23 is the revolving fund for the harbor master account, same thing. The proceeds that come in from mooring fees,
Motion.
everything,
Motion to approve.
$70,000.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Article 24 is going to be asking the town meeting voters to establish, to accept the provisions of Chapter 44, Section 53F and a half, to establish the ambulance enterprise fund for the town. And then the next article, Article 25, is going to be to set the budget for the ambulance enterprise fund. And basically, this is going to bring us into compliance with the standards and policies that went into effect in June of 2008 regarding enterprise funds.
Okay, so motion to approve both articles, 24 and 25.
Seconded.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
And Article 26, again, is contingent upon the ballot initiative moving forward. That is to pay off the balance of the KME Custom Flex pumper. The balance is $420,736.17, saving the town about $60,000 in interest over the life of the loan. The Finance Committee recommended unanimous approval.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
The rest is only
Martha?
You awake?
Bylaws?
Martha, would you like to present all these, please? No.
You know,
Just what are the differences in there, quick, between the old one, the accessory apartments?
Actually, there are no changes.
No changes? Okay.
No.
So Article 27,
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Oh,
the
long-winded
public
one.
hearing.
Right.
Article 28.
You didn't think we were that sleepy?
Article 28, the Newbury zoning bylaws, the administration, when you make all those changes.
Definitions.
Yep.
Yeah, definition changes again. Do you want me
These are, they've all been presented to the board. I don't know if you,
Right, the definition
Comfortable.
changes are the same as what had been presented to you previously.
Right. Motion,
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Article
Oh,
29.
there's 29.
Same, that was before us.
Yep.
Motion on that, Chuck?
Yep, motion to approve.
Seconded.
Any discussion, all in favor? Aye. Article 30.
Yep, motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion, all those in favor? Aye. This is the big one.
31.
Yep. 31, Chuck?
Yep, motion to approve.
Reluctantly seconded.
Okay.
Discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Article 32 is simply getting town meeting's approval of the tax agreement that the board has already negotiated with Bashaw Solar One. So we're just looking to get town meeting's approval.
Huh. Even though, okay, motion to approve.
Seconded.
I don't want to get into that.
Discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Article 33, basically when we have unclaimed checks in town, what happens is we go through a procedure to try and advertise it and try and get people to cash those checks. And after a certain period of time, and I can't recall it off the top of my head, it has to get turned over to the Commonwealth of Mass. You may have seen some of those advertisements. You have
Yeah.
money due to you, call us. And then they benefit from, if nobody claims them, we've turned it over to them and they get it. By accepting this, it changes the process a little bit and we get to benefit from the unclaimed funds. They stay here in the town.
Oh, for crying out loud. Okay, motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Article 34, let's see, was proposed by zoning, the ZBA and CM Joslin, if I'm not mistaken. And basically this the intention is to prevent blocking of traffic sightlines and all the creation of traffic hazards by the placement of maintenance or maintenance of bushes, fences, signs within the sightlines of the street.
New ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 35 is an addition to the bylaws giving flexibility to organize bylaw provisions for ease of use and understanding without the necessity of future town meeting votes. And basically, the changes to Chapter 93 prohibit parking without a permit on the beach side of Northern Boulevard year-round, and make the procedure for obtaining permits much more clear than they currently are. So these are just changes to the parking bylaws, clarifications, I guess.
Wow, that could get, never mind. Okay, motion to approve.
That's all, that's, second?
Second.
Discussion? Hasn't that always been by sticker only on Northern Boulevard?
It's always been enforced that way, but in reading it, it wasn't really clear, so we're trying to make it,
Yep.
it's housekeeping.
Okay.
To make it very clear that everyone understands it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Article 36 is a local option that would provide the Board of Selectmen the authority to allow licensees to sell alcoholic beverages between 10 a.m. and 12 noon on Sundays, the last Monday in May, and on Christmas Day or on the day following, when said day occurs on a Sunday.
That's Memorial Day?
We didn't have that before?
Mm-mm. It's a local option you have to
Noontime
adopt.
on, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, noontime on, I remember that much, yeah. Okay, motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's see, 37. Bear with me a second here. 37 is an easement that was negotiated as part of a settlement by town council, and it will replace all existing easements taken by the town back in 2009 over land owned by two private individuals. The town awarded no money damages for the taking, and the purpose of the taking was to secure state and federal money for a beach nourishment program on Plum Island. You're all aware of that? Okay, so this is the settlement that was arrived at with the assistance of the town's conservation agent.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
And then 38 is brought by petition, so I don't know if you normally would weigh in on that, or if you would just let the will of the town.
Yeah,
It's
sounds
up
good.
to you.
Okay. Thanks, Tracy.
Tried to be quick.
Oh, you did, great. Frank, you were here in case we had any questions. I'd like to recognize Frank, Chair of the Finance Committee, was here, sat through this whole meeting in case we needed any guidance, so that was great, Frank. Thanks. On to, back to new business.
Right here.
Appointment of Board of
Fire engineers,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
that's where we left off, right there,
Yep.
sorry.
That's it, don't worry about it. Appointment of Board of Fire Engineers. So, this is a yearly thing, right, that we do yearly, right? So, notification has been received that the following wish to be reappointed to the Board of Fire Engineers. It has been updated on 4/27/14.
And it was updated
Excuse me.
because I received, the letter of interest at the very bottom.
Okay. We're tasked with deciding tonight whether we keep the board the same or we put additions to the board. The board right now is Fire Chief Nathan Walker, Board of Fire Engineers and Chief Forest Warden Captain Robert Dash, Board of Fire Engineers and Deputy Forest Warden Deputy Chief Douglas Janvin Jr., Board of Fire Engineers and Deputy Forest Warden and EMS Coordinator, Captain Terrence Martin, Board of Fire Engineers and Deputy Forest Warden Douglas Pachter, Board of Fire Engineers, Captain Timothy Wareham, Board of Fire Engineers and Deputy Forest Warden, Captain Justin Webb, Board of Fire Engineers and Deputy Forest Warden, Deputy Chief Wallace Sealer, Board of Fire Engineers and Deputy Forest Warden. So, we have letters of interest from Ed Donnelly, a Robert Carrier, a Brendan Ivoni, and an Eric Berlew. So, we need a motion to decide what we're gonna do. What's before us is,
Motion to approve the board as it was.
I I made a point to, I just want to say, I made a point to contact members of number 1 and number 2.
Yep.
Just to make sure that this is the right decision. And it seems like they're in a time where things are working well. I wanted to make sure both sides felt they were equally represented, and they seem to, so I second.
I was gonna say that after you seconded it, we went to
Discussion?
Sorry.
Discussion? No,
I'm still learning.
It's okay.
Discussion?
Okay, yes, I made a couple of phone calls myself, and the board is very comfortable with just the way it is right now. But I do think we should bring those new applications in and have them query checked and have them ready. Okay? I really do think we should do that, because we as a board know how persnickety it can be to.
Well, these appointments are gonna last for a year. I also, myself, probably heard from a lot of people on this and probably didn't have to call anyone, I guess. I heard from them. So, is a quarry check something that costs money?
I don't know that
No,
we've
for sure it's the
done
chief that
quarry
does it.
checks for fire engineers in the past.
Yeah, all right.
I can find out from
We did query
chief.
checks on all appointees now. I'm pretty sure I
But we're
remember
not
that.
appointing these people, that's what I'm saying.
But we are going to appoint them, and we want to know before we appoint them.
We're not gonna appoint them this year, we just okayed this group for the year.
No,
New,
not the query checks that have already been done on the existing fire engineers.
new interest.
The ones that
Right.
have applied is what I'm saying.
I mean,
Okay, you know,
my only thought was, these people, I mean, are you thinking someone could get sick and then would have to
Yep.
reappoint someone to fill that spot?
right, and it would be nice to have the applications there. That's all I was saying. I didn't mean to make a,
I mean, if it's not a tremendous expense or anything, fine.
all right.
I mean, they put their names there, they want to go through a quarry check, even though they might not be going on this year, that's fine.
All right. I'll withdraw it, not a problem.
No, I mean, Chuck, if we want to do it, we'll do it.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
I did make a motion to leave the board as it is.
Yep.
And we'll appoint those first. Okay?
All right, you seconded that. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Okay.
Jeff, you're voting on
I'll
that
find
too?
out.
I'm sorry.
Well, it didn't have to, so,
Right.
So, shall I
yeah, you
write
go,
that you did
yeah.
vote for?
yeah, you can write I voted. Okay,
All right, that's done.
Have to.
Commercial shellfish permit review.
commercial shellfish permit review.
Where is it?
This came, it's gonna be buried in there. This came up, because we are a little less than some of the other towns. Tracy?
There were some questions raised at one of the finance committee meetings about how much money we brought in for shellfish permits and whether or not it offset the cost of running that function, that department's function. And Ellen was able to gather some surrounding communities' information, and I believe you have that in your packet. So if we, we, not wanting to be the highest or the lowest, we were looking at increasing the permit fee by $100, and that could generate about $7,000 more annually, and will bring it won't be completely revenue neutral as far as the expenses incurred by the department, but it will get it much closer, so.
And I mean, if you look at this, what Tracy's saying, I guess out of Ipswich, Essex, and Rowley for the commercial digger, the only place that might be what we are is Essex. The rest are $400. Ipswich is $400, Rowley's $400, Essex is $300, so.
And we're 300.
So,
We're 300 now?
Mhm.
And you want to up it to 4, that's a third.
we can also think about this a little too, guys.
You don't have to make a decision on that tonight.
Tonight. I mean, that's, if you want to take and,
Well, we're putting it out there right now. I think we ought to get some input on this
Yeah.
before we do that.
Yep.
The
As I
committee,
say, it's a pretty solid impact for a lot of the commercial. Now, is that gonna be for this year coming or for the next year?
it would be for the next year.
For us, say that again?
It would be for the next year. They've already
So
issued the
They've
permits
already
for this
gotten
year.
permits for this year?
Mhm.
All right, all right.
I think one thing too,
Yeah.
Chuck, that's of interest to me is, when have we raised them in the past? When's it?
Good question.
Leslie did not during her tenure.
So, I mean, if it's been a decade, or if it's been 15 years, or, so, that's another thing for us to have this information, because everything's going up.
And right
Yeah.
now, that's not supporting itself.
No, right now, the annual operating budget is 42,500, and they bring in about 26,000.
Really?
So the discussion at the finance committee was, okay, we'd like this to be a relatively self-supporting
Okay, but
function,
we still have time to, if it's gonna be for next year, we get plenty of time to do this.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think that makes sense, because you're gonna get feedback.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna ask a few of them. All right.
All right.
Sign town ma- oh, and warrants, we have warrants. Motion to approve the warrants.
I've got my revised agenda and my other agenda. Where am I? Oh, yeah, okay, warrants. Motion to sign the warrants, guys.
Yep, motion to sign.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, why don't I proceed a little
Town meeting warrant.
with
Over here.
correspondence
Nope,
as
up
we're
here,
doing
on the
this.
lines.
Old business. The request of the Beachcomber is before us, that is to have music on Saturday evening, May 30th, from 6 to 10 p.m. And we tabled that at the last Selectmen's meeting. So what has been done now is we have a note from the Beachcomber, and they have withdrawn their request as of right now. Right, Ellen?
That's correct.
So,
Okay.
all right. Letter from the planning board, a proposed zoning bylaws for the annual town meeting. What does that mean, Martha?
This was specifically for the solar. The planning board held the public hearing regarding the change to the solar bylaw.
Oh, yes, right,
And so
right.
this is just a letter confirming that the public hearing was held and voting to recommend to the selectmen that it go on the warrant.
Okay.
So just part of the process.
All right.
All right,
And,
thank you.
How did that go?
It's fine, we had one person from the public who spoke in favor.
For or against?
For.
Good, okay.
Okay, correspondence. We have a letter from the Coalition for Responsible Retailing. Did you guys get a chance to read that? Did you read it,
I
Chad?
did.
Did you get a chance, Chuck, to kind of look at that?
Sorry, I did not.
But, all right, what was your take?
I liked regulations on electronic cigarettes. I do not like telling parents how to parent, to put it in a nutshell.
I think, building on what you said, working somewhat in the environmental field, I think we always have to look at what real regulations are in place now, and are they being enforced? And I have to say, I don't really know what regulations are enforced right now. I don't know if there are regulations or laws that I can't buy cigarettes and give them to a minor. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but I don't know that yet. And what JR said, if you get into this a little bit, they really want to start to basically fine parents or brothers and sisters for buying you know, tobacco products for their siblings. So I think it's something that, you know, I think it's just informational, and I think we could really look at it again. Chuck, just take a look at it when you get back there tonight, take a peek.
Yep.
And I think as correspondence, it's informational, but it hit me the same way. Just seems to be, I don't know, it seems to be in this world now, there's a tremendous overlaying of rules and regulations, and sometimes the rules and regulations, if they're enforced correctly, would probably do the job. So, we have a letter from Mass, this is more correspondence, we have a letter from Mass DOT for the National Bridge Inspector Stand, and this is the inspection on the bridge. Chuck, you probably have certainly read this one. And I looked at it a lot too, and I think what I get out of it is, remember, this is informational again, but I think our highway supervisor could be afraid kids they dive off that bridge, right? And that's kind of a rites of passage and always do, and I think he's a little bit afraid of the cement and thinking about signs. Did I get that out of that? No?
Yeah, and then Tracy was waiting to hear back from town council on the signage issue.
To see if it's our responsibility to put signs there?
It is, and James has already had the signs made up, he'll be posting them.
Wow, so we're okay to go on this, just as correspondence. And the correspondence is added to the fact that it's already been taken care of.
Yep.
Super. Now, this was the email I got from MVPC on their tip amendment. I didn't really understand it very much. I read a little bit of it. It's a proposed amendment to its fiscal year 2015 transportation improvement. Amendments they just added a lot of amendments. I think that's where I saw the showing of the purchase of the transit bus so that got on that. So that's interesting that it goes that direction too, right? They request.
That's not the Council on Aging bus.
Oh, what is that?
I assume that's an MVRTA bus.
Okay. So that's a regional bus.
That's a regional, yeah.
Cool. All right, so that would be the difference. Minutes. The minutes of April 14th.
Yep, reviewed them, they're all right. Motion to approve is read.
Seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Warrants, motion to sign whatever other warrants we have.
Yep.
Do we have other warrants?
Yep, right in front of you, the pink.
Second, JR.
Seconded.
Yep. Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any meeting updates? We don't have executive session, and I'm certainly ready to adjourn if we have a motion.
Yes, I have motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded. Kinda losing it.
Lots of signing.
Well,